Good morning, people.
Hello.
This is Kim.
This is Andy.
And we're reading to you from the Urantia book. Oh, I almost forgot. We're reading a little bit here, a daily reading from Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey. Today's really short. It's just a Sufi prayer. I really love this one. This is the short kind of thing that can really stay with me all day. And Lord, let your mystery dawn in me as an ecstasy of humility. Lord, let your mystery dawn in me as an ecstasy of humility.
I like that.
Isn't it just beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Okay, and that's from our brothers, the Sufis, our brothers and sisters, the Sufis. Thank you. All right. Okay, so we're reading the material body of Jesus. So we read last time that Jesus had resurrected. He was in his Urantia form while his physical body was still in the tomb. So he appeared in his Urantia form with Gabriel above the tomb. And but the body's still in there. So now they're going like, what do we do with this body? All these angels and celestial beings are that's what they're thinking about. Okay, so do you want to go, Andrew?
Sure. The material body of Jesus. At 10 minutes past 3 o'clock, as the resurrected Jesus fraternized with the assembled Urantia personalities from the 7 mansion worlds of Satania, the chief of archangels, the angels of the resurrection, approached Gabriel and asked for the mortal body of Jesus. Said the chief of the archangels, "We may not participate in the Urantia resurrection of the bestowal experience of Michael, our sovereign, but we would have his mortal remains put in our custody for immediate dissolution. We do not propose to employ our technique of dematerialization. We merely wish to invoke the process of accelerated time. It is enough that we have seen the sovereign live and die on Urantia. The hosts of heaven would be spared the memory of enduring the sight of the slow decay of the human form of the Creator and upholder of a universe. In the name of the celestial intelligences of all Nebadon, I ask for a mandate giving me the custody of the mortal body of Jesus of Nazareth and empowering us to proceed with its immediate dissolution."
Okay, so I think it's important to point out they're not doing this in a form, in their motive for doing this is not deception. Okay, so these are beings that were created by Jesus, right? They were not able to help him in his resurrection because the creature, the something that I've created, or that doesn't have power over its creator. So the creature does not have power over the creator.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't able to do that. So at least give us this body, and we want to be spared the sorrow of seeing this body slowly decompose. So their motive isn't that, oh my gosh, we have to hurry up, get rid of this body before somebody sees it and thinks that the resurrected Jesus is an imposter or something. But that would be legit if it was that. I wouldn't blame them for doing that, but still they're pointing to, they're not suggesting that kind of motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when Gabriel had conferred with the senior Most High of Urantia, the archangel spokesman for the celestial host was given permission to make such disposition of the physical remains of Jesus as he might determine. So it's like, yes, okay, you can have this body here. We don't need it anymore. Yep. Okay. I'll just read the next one because that was short.
Mm-hmm.
After the chief of archangels had been granted this request, he summoned to his assistance many of his fellows, together with a numerous host of the representatives of all orders of celestial personalities, and then, with the aid of the Urantia midwayers, proceeded to take possession of Jesus' physical body. This body of death was a purely material creation. It was physical and literal. It could not be removed from the tomb as the Morancha form of the resurrection had been able to escape the sealed sepulcher. Okay, so the Morancha form, Jesus's Morancha body, was able to just go through the stone walls and go out of there. But no, we can't get the body out of there. By the aid of certain Morancha auxiliary personalities, the Morancha form can be made at one time as if the spirit, as made at one time as of the spirit, so that it can become indifferent to ordinary matter, while at another time it can become discernible and contactable to material beings, such as the mortals of the realm.
Wow. And that's what happened.
Yeah. So that's a feature of our Morancha bodies. We can fade in and out of spirit form and into more physical form as, yeah. Okay, you go.
As they made ready to remove the body of Jesus from the tomb, preparatory to accelerating, as they made ready to remove the body of Jesus from the tomb, preparatory to according it the dignified and reverent disposal of near instantaneous dissolution, it was assigned the secondary Urantia midwayers to roll away the stones from the entrance to the tomb. The larger of these two stones was a huge circular affair, much like a millstone, and it moved in a groove chiseled out of the rock so that it could be rolled back and forth to open or close the tomb. When the watching Jewish guards and the Roman soldiers in the dim light in the morning saw this huge stone begin to roll away from the entrance of the tomb, apparently of its own accord, without any visible means to account for such motion, they were seized with fear and panic, and they fled in haste from the scene.
Good job, guards, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jews fled to their homes afterward and back to report these doings to their captain at the temple. The Romans fled to the fortress of Antonia and reported what they had seen to the centurion as soon as he arrived on duty.
Right. So it's like, okay, we don't care about your seal of Pilate's seal is on the tomb. It's like, we're just going to get rid of this rock. Okay, we just need to move it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The Jewish leaders began the sordid business of supposedly getting rid of Jesus by offering bribes to the traitorous Judas. And now, when confronted with this embarrassing situation, instead of thinking of punishing the guards who deserted their post, they resorted to bribing these guards and the Roman soldiers. They paid each of these 20 men a sum of money and instructed them to say to all, "While we slept during the nighttime, his disciples came upon us and took away the body." Okay, so they're making their story here. This is a story, and they're going to stick to it, right?
Right.
I'm going to say the disciples came when we were sleeping, when we were tired and had to stay away. We were guarding, and then they came and moved the stone and they took the body. Those darn disciples.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Isn't that what they do? Isn't that what you'd say?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Sure.
And the Jewish leaders made solemn promises to the soldiers to defend them before Pilate in case it would ever come to the governor's knowledge that they had accepted a bribe.
Wow.
So the Jews are making deals with these. Oh yeah, they're so godly, right?
Mm-hmm. The Christian belief in the resurrection of Jesus had been based on the fact of the empty tomb. It was indeed a fact that the tomb was empty, but this was not the truth of the resurrection. The tomb was truly empty when the first believers arrived, and this fact, associated with that of the undoubted resurrection of the Master, led to the formulation of a belief which was not true, the teaching that the material and mortal body of Jesus was raised from the dead,
The grave.
from the grave. Truth having to do with spiritual realities and eternal values cannot always be built up by a combination of apparent facts. Although individual facts may be materially true, it does not follow that the association of a group of facts must necessarily lead to truthful spiritual conclusions. Wow.
The tomb of Joseph was empty, not because the body of Jesus had been rehabilitated or resurrected, but because the celestial hosts had been granted their request to afford it a special and unique dissolution, a return of the dust to dust, without the intervention of the delays of time and without the operation of the ordinary and visible processes of mortal decay and material corruption.
The mortal remains of Jesus underwent the same natural process of elemental disintegration as characterizes all human bodies on earth, except that, in point of time, this natural mode of dissolution was greatly accelerated, hastened to the point that it became well nigh instantaneous.
Okay. The true evidences of the resurrection of Michael are spiritual in nature, albeit this teaching is corroborated by the testimony of many mortals of the realm who met, recognized, and communed with the resurrected Morantia master. He became a part of the personal experience of almost 1,000 human beings before he finally took leave of Urantia.
So that is a huge misinterpretation.
Yeah, that we have not quite the right idea here.
That our Urantia bodies will not be raised.
Mm-mm.
They won't. They'll stay here.
Yep. So, yep, they stay. Yep. That's very interesting. And how yeah, now the normal process of decay though normally involves a lot of bacteria, worms, and little things feeding on the flesh. So that's so that was probably part of it, I'm thinking. But still, now I guess I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? So yeah, they can keep mummies embalmed, and at least their bones are still there for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess eventually even those will decay and
Yes.
break down. And these are superhuman beings. They affected this time going forward on this here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So another thing I'm thinking about is like, why did they had to roll the stones away from the tomb in order to make it a dignified and reverent disposal of near instantaneous dissolution? Okay, so maybe sunlight. I'm thinking like science. Okay, I'm a biologist. All right. Okay, just has an effect on that dissolution. Otherwise, why would they need to remove the thing, if they weren't trying to make an impression on the people around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that maybe they needed sunlight in that area in order to affect what they wanted to do. Possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just thinking here, I'm just conjecturing here. So from a scientific standpoint here, because part of this I think is that I have to marry this to my scientific mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to me. So, but I think I'm satisfied here with what they're saying. I think this is plausible,
Well, this changes everything really, because no longer are we concerned with the restoration of the Urantia body at some point in time.
Right. It's just a memento. It's like, but people used to, it's just like a little memento. You go to the gravestone, or I've always felt that what's really unnatural is that when we go to separate our bodies from nature here, when we die, we embalm them, and we inject them with all kinds of like artificial chemicals that aren't really natural. We
And preserve the body.
preserve this body so it can wake up and go like, yeah. So, and we separate it from the worms and the things that it should be able to go back to the earth and feed the earth. That's what all of nature does. That's that's huge. But we've felt compelled to interfere with that process, because here we're expecting, we're going to need that body again here. From the Egyptians on down here, they've done that in different ways. But the body is just a relic, Yeah. So, and the Urantia form here is a transitional body as well. So that's not your permanent spiritual form.
Right.
Right. That's going to be your spiritual form until you get to, like, throughout your transit, I think, of Nebadon to Salvington, and then when you go on to the higher realms of Uversa or Vantan, okay, then you have another form. So there are transitions here within this. So. Anyway, fascinating, right?
It is fascinating, and it really hits at a long-standing belief. Jesus was not raised from the dead. Jesus transitioned to a new existence, a new form.
Yeah, but even that wasn't his true form, because he's bigger than that.
Right.
You got to understand, he's a divine being. He's bigger than that. So it even talked about in the prior part how while he was sleeping in the tomb, he was doing various administrative activities, in Salvington and giving messages to and from here while he was supposedly there. See, he's bigger than that,
Right.
So
still, that's huge.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I just read, it's at the heart of Christianity, really.
I think. Well, I think not just Christianity, but I think that's a characteristic of primitive religious thought, or early religious thought, is that we're overemphasizing the material, because the material is all that we really know up until we're really experiencing these spiritual realities.
Right.
So you can't really blame people for being concerned about their physical welfare and their physical nature of their bodies and stuff like this, because that's what they know how to be. But I think this is also very hopeful for people who were born with bodies that were ill or malformed, that you're not cursed to
right.
have that whatever, if you're born ugly, don't worry about it, you're still beautiful. Right. I mean, I don't know, that's a crass way to put it, but okay. But anyway, I think this is great, and thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, bye.